Justice with Judge Mablean will be life, because in everything we do, it involves the law. You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Shay Clark is suing her former boss, Greg Whitaker, in the amount of $1,500. She says the defendant fired her from his gym class for gaining weight.
In the matter of Shay Clark versus Greg Whitaker, I'm advised that you're suing Ms. Clark because you allege that your employer terminated you unlawfully.
Yes.
And it was simply because of your weight gain.
Yes.
All right, talk to me about it.
I've been working for Fitness Forever for about 12 years now. About 7 years into me working there, I did get married. I had 2 kids, so I did take about a 5-year sabbatical. And while I was off, my daughter turned 2, so my husband felt that I should start back working to increase the finances. So I decided to give Greg a call up to start back at Fitness Forever, teaching a few classes. So I go to meet Greg, and he looks at me with a little disgust, not as enthusiastic and happy as he normally is.
Just be quiet, I'll get to you.
And so I began teaching 2 classes, 2 yoga classes and a cardio class, hip-hop fitness. So about 3 weeks in, Greg calls me in the office and tells me that maybe I need to start working out on my off days to help. So this, to me, he's insinuating that I'm fat. About a month later, he calls me in again and says he's going to start cutting my classes. So I kind of took this as a win-win. He cuts my classes, I get extra time to work out and spend at the gym. I come in about a month later, about the end of October, and I have no classes left on the roster at all. My job is over, and that was my way of being notified.
And you think that he didn't have the right to terminate you?
Not at all.
What do you have to say, Mr. Whitaker?
Ms. Clark called me. I was very generous. I gave her a job because she had worked for me before. She was my top instructor. She had the most people in her classes. When I gave her the job to come back, I gave her 2 yoga classes and I gave her 2 fitness cardio classes.
Right.
And the classes were about 25 to 30 people to start with. I called her in the office about 3 weeks later because her classes were decreasing in size, which was actually not very financially beneficial to me. So I asked her if
Well,
she
were
would,
they leaving the fitness center altogether, or were they going to another instructor?
They were just going to another instructor. But the thing was that the room was empty. Like, there were only 6 people in there, so I'm paying her, but not getting any money because people weren't paying for classes.
But they were going to another instructor that you had?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you inquire and ask them why?
Yes, ma'am. I asked them why, and most of the reviews were mostly because she wasn't in the fitness instructor physique. They wanted someone who was actually...
his physique.
They wanted someone who actually looked physically fit enough to teach them how to lose weight and wanted to see progress in someone that was also instructing them to lose weight.
So she wasn't physically fit in terms of looking physically fit? Or
Yes,
was she not physically fit to do the exercises and to do what she was instructing others to do?
Well, it was both.
I didn't ask you anything yet.
It was both. She's a personal close friend of mine. I know her home life. She has 2 kids. She has a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. So
I already know that too. She
doesn't-
just told me, so what big deal?
I know she doesn't have time to actually work out and teach classes at the same time. So I would just say that she was not look physically fit.
She didn't look physically
Yes.
fit. My question to you, whether she looked physically fit or not, was there a complaint that she was unable to do the yoga moves that she was teaching others?
No, ma'am.
Was there a complaint that she was unable to do the cardio moves that she was teaching others?
No, ma'am.
So it wasn't there weren't complaints about her instruction itself, just about the way she looked.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
Did the number of students decrease?
They did decrease only because Greg hired a new, energetic, bubbly little girl come through the gym, bouncing off walls and everything.
And later,
This lady right here stole my apple pie recipe, entered a contest, won the contest. My pie's my recipe, my money.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Shay Clark, who is suing Greg Whitaker for wrongful termination.
So you were losing people in her class. Then what happened?
As she mentioned, about a month later, she came in. I started to cancel her classes and put other instructors in the place of the times where her classes used to be. So I technically just let her go.
So what was her size when she was teaching before, when she was the top instructor?
She was, I don't know women's sizes, but maybe a 4. She was really thin.
You don't know women's sizes. You don't know anything about sizes, and you're talking about size?
Well, I don't know like women's sizes as in how big they are.
Okay, well then what did she weigh
12.
before?
Oh, she weighed about a 150.
Okay, and what does she weigh now?
Probably about 180.
And what about your other instructors? What's the average size of your other instructors?
Well, they're a lot shorter than her, so they're about 140, between 140 and 150.
And how many other instructors do you have?
About 6.
So you run a fitness center. You own it?
I'm general manager.
You're the general manager. How long have you been doing this?
For 12 years.
12 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And you haven't learned about women's sizes in 12 years? And you're the owner of a fitness center?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have mostly women coming there?
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't understand us in terms of sizes?
Well, I just don't know women's sizes, so how big?
Well, I think you need to learn that. You need to understand and figure that out because, you know, that's important to women, you know, whether you're a size 2 versus a size 22. What is your average size? You know your size, and
Yes.
I know, so talk to me in our language. What's your average size?
So my average size is about a 12, 14, and I got up to about a 2022.
And what?
I got up to a 2022.
When you went back to work, what were you?
About a 19, 20.
When you left work, you were 12, 14.
Yes, when I took my sabbatical.
Right.
Yes.
So in the 5 years after your children were born, well, the second one was 2-year-old when you went back to work.
Yes.
You didn't get back into fitness shape.
Not how I intended, no. But I've always been about fitness. Fitness has always been my life. When I was a little kid.
So what kind of exercise were you doing during this 5-year sabbatical?
I'll do a little walking around the neighborhood or maybe like a Zumba class.
Do you think you were in good shape to teach cardio fitness class?
I wasn't.
2 of those classes per day?
I wasn't in the best shape, but I was in a shape to teach, yes.
Okay. Do you think you were in good shape to teach yoga? Were you still able to do all those stretches and all those poses at a size
Absolutely.
19 that you were at a size 12?
Yes, it probably didn't look the same, but it was definitely the same pose. And Your Honor, my classes, the students love me. I have students that are moms as well, and I'm inspiration to them to let them know that they could get back on the right track.
Well, did the number of students decrease?
They did decrease only because Greg hired a new, energetic, bubbly little girl come through the gym, bouncing off walls and everything. So she did take a lot of my students, but I honestly think she was bribing with something.
So you admit that there was another instructor who was more exciting to the students than you?
Yes.
And
yes.
what would you do? What do you think a business person is supposed to do when the students are going over to this class and there is only 6 students in this class? Now, I go to the Y.
Right.
And all the instructors at the Y, I take swimming there, you know, water aerobics. And they always talking about, they cut my class, they cut my class, they cut my class. And I see the manager coming through there on a regular basis when we're in that pool counting. And I hear the instructor say, this was a good class today, I had 35. Isn't that the way it's done at the pool, at the fitness centers? Come on.
Not at all.
Why not? It's all about business.
I understand it's about business, and the business-minded thing would have been to notify me that I was going to be losing my job.
Well, now I think he gave you notice by your words.
Yes,
he said wait a minute, 1 month, after you were there, he said, I think you need to work out.
Right.
And I think you need to find time to work out more. So that's notice. You're not up to par. He didn't say go lose some weight, but he was gentle about it. I think you need to work out more.
Right.
Isn't that a hint that you're not up to par?
It is a hint, but I need you to be direct with me. I don't need to be beating around the bush here. So I feel had he basically straight out told me, you know what, Shay, you know, you're a little too plus, you need to slim it down a little bit, then it would have been black and white for me. But telling
Oh,
me,
it was black and white for you when you saw that other little instructor coming in there bouncing off the walls and everybody running over to her class. Was it not? And leaving your class going to hers. That's a second clue
but
that you're not doing something.
That still loved me. Like a few would go, but I still had the other students that were a little more plus. I mean, okay, everybody. He wants the ideal instructor, and I feel that it needs to be real. You need someone up there that's big and plump, so you can know that you can do that as well, and that you can slim down and get to the size you want.
Maybe when you're running your gym, you can do that. But he's running his fitness center. Yes. And let me tell you something. You can't discriminate and terminate somebody based upon weight alone.
Right.
But when you can equate the size and the weight and along with the business, and that it has an impact on your business, then it's not discriminatory.
Right.
When he has you signed up for 4 classes with 6 students, and they are running over there to another instructor, then he's not getting the payment for you because they're over there with her.
True.
And he's running a business that's all about making money. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that for you to walk in and see that you have absolutely no class that day is not reasonable notice. It's not.
I agree.
And I think you did it the cowardly way. And because you didn't give a reasonable notice, I am going to give her 2 weeks wage loss, which is the $1,500. Because I think a reasonable notice would have been 2 weeks. Think about it. Walk into work, she's gotten up, she's spent gas, she's taken the time to get dressed, she's come to the office to work, to the gym, and she sees a sign up there, no classes.
Well, she got a little exercise that day.
She got a little exercise, and you got to pay $1,500. That's the judgment for the plaintiff.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,500.
You need to be fit in order to teach a fitness class, and you're not.
I think justice was served, and Judge Mablean did a good job.
Coming up.
This lady right here stole my apple pie recipe, entered a contest, won the contest. My pie's my recipe, my money.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Leslie Robinson is suing bakery owner Rachel Dillard in the amount of $5,650. She says the defendant stole her recipe for apple pie and used it to win a contest.
In the matter of Leslie Robinson versus Rachel Dillard, this is the stolen apple pie recipe, allegedly. Ms. Robinson alleges that Ms. Dillard stole her apple pie recipe.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason why I'm here is that this lady right here stole my apple pie recipe, entered a contest, won the contest, and also got a contract with the local grocery stores to be able to distribute the pies. My pies, not her pies. My pies, my recipe, my money. I just want my money.
How much was the money?
So it was $5,650.
Wow. And a contract.
And a contract, yes.
With the local grocery store.
Yes.
Ooh, she hit the jackpot.
Yes.
So convince me that it was your apple pie recipe that she stole. How do I know that?
Well, when I got my culinary license, I'm a master pastry chef, and I went by her bakery. I'd been there before. I went by there to apply for a job. I just recently lost my husband, so I needed to look for a job. So I went by there to stop by her establishment, and I had a press kit with me, which was my resume, and a copy of the recipe that was published.
Oh, I do want to see the recipe.
Yeah, it was published in the local newspaper from my professor that when I graduated.
Your recipe was published in the local newspaper?
Yes, it was.
The same local newspaper?
Yes.
Where she won the contest?
Yes. We both entered the contest.
I understand that. I'm asking, was the publication of your recipe in the newspaper before the contest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. Go on.
So I went by her establishment. I dropped off my press kit, and I even brought a pie so she could taste it. And she liked pie. She thought it was great. She could hardly wait to tell her husband. Show her husband. She said she recognized me from the article in the local newspaper. Just recently, the contest, we went to the contest. She was there also. I entered the contest too. She was there.
Well, obviously she was there if she won.
Well, but she was acting all, I don't know, she was all jittery. I thought it was like pre-contest jitters or whatever, but she was acting kind of weird when she was talking to me. And I now I know why, because she had my recipe. She submitted my recipe, my pie recipe, not hers, mine. And so she was feeling guilty, obviously.
Coming up,
She puts pate in her apple pie. You don't. So how do you say she stole your recipe?
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Leslie Robinson, who is suing Rachel Dillard for theft of intellectual property.
How do you know that it was your pie recipe?
Because I had a special ingredient that I put in it, and she asked me what that special ingredient was.
And what's that?
It's caramel.
Oh, the 1 cup of melted organic caramel?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Dillard, she says you stole her recipe.
We are a very well-respected pastry shop in the Southern California. This business was inherited by my husband. It's been in business for 50 years. This is not the first blue ribbon. Either this recipe or any other recipe of ours has won. This apple pie recipe is my husband's personal recipe. It was tweaked by him. It's been in their family, and it has won other prizes. But last year, my husband got ill, and at this point, his illness has progressed to the point that he's in a wheelchair. And I came across one of the certificates that they had previously, and it just occurred to me I should enter it in the upcoming contest. So I entered it, and we won. I won presenting his recipe. And this lady is completely delusional.
And to seek a job, that she
Yes.
showed you her resume,
Yes,
which
Your
included
Honor.
her apple pie recipe.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you
She
keep
came-
her resume?
The resume, I can't recall if we kept the resume.
Did you
but
keep the
she,
apple pie recipe?
No, the apple pie recipe wasn't even in there. She had her recipe published in that article. She insists for us to keep the pie, and we taste it. I compliment her on her recipe. I'm not going to tell her, oh, your pie sucks, but that doesn't mean that I stole her recipe to
Okay, so let me
enter
see
it in
your
a contest.
recipe.
Everything is in here. They are not even similar at any level. Our recipe has different ingredients. My recipe doesn't have caramel.
She puts pate in her apple pie. You don't.
Yes, ma'am.
She puts 4 pounds of Granny Smith apples. You use thinly sliced organic green and red apples. So how do you say she stole your recipe?
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
Once you published it in the local newspaper, anybody can take this apple pie recipe and make an apple pie and submit it. You put it out there. I may try it myself. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You opened it up for everyone to have your recipe. All right. So judgment for the defendant.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I won fair and square. That was my recipe. Get over it.
You know that was my recipe.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.